So when we're in conversation and someone says, but that's the Old Testament, what is it that they're really saying? Well, they seem to be recognizing that there's a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and it's not just about age. A difference that is about perhaps the character of the information and the perception of what God's like in each of these two sections of their holy book. But if they're recognizing the problems and drawing a line and trying to argue that one of these is no longer relevant or should be dismissed, the first question that comes to mind is, why should there be any problems at all? If the view is that this is something that God has revealed to humanity, that the Old Testament includes important messages or included messages that were important to people for thousands and thousands of years, what is it that changed? What is it that is new and relevant, and why does it supersede or alter what came before? Did God's character change in between the two testaments? Did the rules change? Did morality change? Did our understanding of the universe change? What exactly is it that we're trying to describe? And quite often, there is no explanation. It seems to me a matter more of kind of cherry picking. Oh yes, that particular passage seems uncomfortable, and so I will just dismiss it as this is the Old Testament and Jesus came along better and later and made everything better and new. Well, what reasons do they give for why these disparities exist? Well, perhaps it's the flawed nature of human beings where God's communicating a message, but maybe we write it down wrong or we don't understand it correctly. But if that's the case, then wouldn't this also be true for all the New Testament passages? If the problem is that God is having difficulty communicating with his creation, how do we know that he's not still having difficulty communicating with his creation? How do we know that the New Testament is any less flawed?